and we can share our things.
But the thing is, we're automatically live here. We don't need to wait.
Yeah.
It's just a delay from what we see there. So,
Yeah.
hello, Facebook. We're already live now.
I guess that's the case. Hello, Facebook, without delay today. I don't know if you get the delay or not. Maybe you might not hear this.
We do. So that's what fucks us up. Like the last time you just saw us staring at nothing for 30 seconds. So, anyway.
Hello, everybody.
I hope that we'll have some tuners in today. Hopefully some people can tell us what the audio is like, because, it's been kind of a crapshoot there. But I think we got it today.
Yeah, we should. It sounds, at least on our end, it sounds pretty all right. I'm still fiddle with the audio.
Okay.
But, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Outsider Circle podcast. I'm Leo.
And I'm Vin.
And this week, we will be discussing the very vague and very nebulous subject of adaptations.
Right. So we're thinking specifically like book to film, game to film, in some situations like film to TV or film to other medium is not so much of that. But basically just kind of loosely addressing, what is adaptation loosely? What is good adaptation? What is bad adaptation? What kinds of adaptation have we seen that sort of change the game and sort of add or take away from it? Going to be a little loose, going to be a lot less strictly defined than the last one was. We're getting a little bit back to form here with just kind of rambling off the cuff a little bit more than a civics lesson.
Today is just, we're going to be shooting some shit about media entertainment.
Yeah. Though, just on that note, on the government shutdown note, just as an update, Donald Trump agreed to a temporary reopening of the government after 35 days? 35
days. Yeah. Made to 35 days.
So,
so that means, it was, in fact, the longest government shutdown. But don't be too safe just yet, because this government shutdown, it's only a temporary stop, because the appropriation bills that the Senate and House and Donald Trump signed are only going to be until February 15th. So at February 15th, we're probably going to have another government shutdown. Yeah. Maybe it'll be shorter this time. Maybe it won't.
So,
we'll find out.
If you're someone who works for the government, just save these paychecks.
Save the 2 paychecks that you're going to get. Yeah. Or the 2 back pay and then the 1 paycheck that you're going to get between here and then.
Yeah. So,
that sucks. But adaptations. So, Vin, you decided to pick this week. So, I'll let you lead off. And where do you want to go with it?
So, the reason that I really wanted to delve into this topic, and I should have done more strict research on this particular fact, is generally speaking, the trend in Hollywood, at least in the last decade or so, is that we've seen far more nominations for adapted screenplays than we have for original screenplays. Like if you look
overall, because I know they have their own separate category.
No, that's what I'm saying. Overall, there's always a longer list of nominations for adapted screenplays than for original screenplays. Like there are just fewer original scripts being produced in the last 10 years in Hollywood. You can attribute a lot of that to the Marvel boom, because strictly speaking, all of the Marvel movies are comic book adaptations, loosely based or not.
Yeah.
But then you've also had a lot of popular books become popular films. And you've also had just a lot of films that were remade or adapted for a new audience. So not strictly like crossover adaptations of materials from one genre to another, but just rehashing some stuff that we've already done before.
Yeah.
Whereas on the original side, you've really only seen a handful of movies that weren't, at least in some part, adapted from something else. Generally speaking, you're going to see movies like, I think Ex Machina was an original screenplay.
Ex Machina. I remember.
I think that all of Quentin Tarantino's films are original screenplays, though he does obviously draw elements from other films and mediums.
Yeah, he definitely does.
And then I think Her was an original screenplay as well.
Yeah, Her was very good.
So there have certainly been some stellar original screenplays produced in the last few years as well.
But then there's
just systematically fewer.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the reason that we have so much more adaptations nowadays is because basically, at least the movie industry is like a large gambling pit, and you're gambling on how much you're going to throw this much money onto a product and gamble how much is this going to make. And usually if you bet on something that people already know, like a comic book or a book or I don't know, a graphic novel or whatever other piece of media that already has,
show in some cases.
yeah, TV show sometimes, because people already know it, they're gonna be like, oh, I heard about this thing, I want to go see this in movie form, so let me go to the movies.
And some of it has a built-in audience.
Yes, exactly.
Like The Girl on the Train, Gone Girl. Both of those were adapted from really popular books.
I did not know that.
Yeah. We've seen so many comic book adaptations, obviously. The Hunger Games, Harry Potter, Twilight, 50 Shades, all huge, major Hollywood blockbuster franchises with huge budgets behind them. All adaptations of books. Some like Harry Potter really got that ball rolling, I think. Because when did that movie come out the first? 1999? No, 2001.
2001, I think, or 2002.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah,
and I think that really got this whole ball moving from terms of like, oh, we can really bring a lot of money out of this.
Yeah, Harry Potter was the first book, the first book movie that really, or children's book movie that really kind of sparked a spark in the media industry. It was just like, holy shit, man, the books these little kids read are making so much money in the theaters, man, let's make a movie out of everything. And then we got the Percy Jackson, and then the Hunger Games.
It did bad stuff to books, I would say, too, because then all these books that started coming out after that took inspiration from these popular series, like, well, I guess I should just write something that's kind of like that.
Yeah, or I would even say some people wrote their books with the intent of like, oh, maybe somebody can pick this up as like a movie.
Maze Runner, I think, that whole series, I can't remember the name of that series because it's a dumb series, but that whole series of books is...
Was that the Divergent series?
No, that's another one, right? See, the more that we say, the more that we can think of, right? Because there have just been so many of them. And I don't want to come down ethically or morally on either side here. I don't know that is really the worst thing in the world for us to be watching a lot of adaptations. I did, as long as there's still room for originality.
I think I watched the second adaptation. What was it? Just Divergent movie. And it wasn't that bad. It was actually moderately entertaining and had some interesting filmmaking in it.
But moderately entertaining, right?
Yeah,
moderately entertaining. Like I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's my bar for most things. Like, did I not hate it? Do I feel like my time was not wasted?
I feel like that is so much better way to do. Why? Wow. Okay, that's such a better way to do that.
We were in quite a rush. Setup happened about 20 minutes before.
No, listen, you're lucky that I'm here. For those of you who are in the know, Kingdom Hearts 3 finally came out in North America today.
Yeah, it was.
It's a game. We're actually going to get to that a little bit later in terms of adaptation. But for anyone who doesn't know, most of us have been waiting for this game for 11 years.
Yeah.
Right. And that's since Kingdom Hearts 2. I
was actually thinking about an article to write today. Would be now that Kingdom Hearts is released and Half-Life 3 story has been like released and said that this is never going to happen, but it like
what?
Yeah, you didn't see the article?
I did not.
Yeah, the writer.
There's a Half-Life 3 news.
There was a while.
We're with a Half-Life 3 boy today.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. We're being so rude. We don't have Thomas with us this week because I think he was previously engaged, or we were lazy, or a combination of the two.
Yes.
But instead, this week on the comms, we've got our good friend Brian.
Brian, can you chime in a little? So.
Hi, my name's Brian.
Hi, Brian.
That's Brian, but he's a diehard Half-Life fan. Funny that we bring it up. And that's another thing that is due for an adaptation. I'm surprised that hasn't been adapted.
It's not going to get adapted. They're never.
It will. They adapted Doom. Yeah, Dwayne The Rock Johnson was in it.
Valve cares too much about their properties to do anything with it. But
for now,
what happened was
Minecraft has been adapted.
Yeah, and actually I don't know if it was not that bad, but the first episode of that Minecraft Telltale game was pretty okay. And it was an interesting adaptation.
We watched it here, right? Or someone played it here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was so ludicrously high out of my mind that it was only abjectly horrifying. Like watching these little block people interact with each other in a narrative way.
But what about Patton Oswalt? Patton Oswalt was pretty okay. As the voice character of main guy.
I think you're underestimating quite how high I truly was. Didn't we all take a trip that day?
I honestly don't remember.
I was as high. That was that high. That's how high I felt.
I don't care enough to remember. That's what I'll say about the Minecraft thing.
Yeah. But that's an example of like a video game to video game adaptation. You adapted this Lego game into this narrative. narrative game.
Yes, but hold on before we get off. As I was saying with the Half-Life 3, so Half-Life 3, a couple of maybe about a year or so ago, one of the writers had like put out a press release or something, just being like, "Hey, so Half-Life 3 is like totally never happening. Oh, also with the fact that Half-Life 3 is totally never happening, let me give you this like script of this not Half-Life 3 for this kind of just kind of like overview of the story plot points.
Science man with a hard metal bar goes and does things.
Yeah, and that was like the kind of the farewell into the night for Half-Life. It's just like, this is what it could have been, it would have been, but it isn't, and it won't be.
Oh, okay. Like, I thought you were implying that he had released, like, there was a story for a forthcoming Half-Life 3.
No.
Okay, so it's like when they killed it, they're like, here, take this as a consolation prize.
Yeah, like this is what it would have been, but it will not be.
This is what you will never have.
Exactly. And now with that, not only are the Half-Life 3 boys released, but the Kingdom Hearts are released, because your game came out today. So
yes, it did. And
the longest waiting fans in video game franchises are released to go, I don't know, be anxious about something else.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm afraid of what that's going to be now. But yeah, so y'all are lucky that I'm here, because I could be home playing Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes, but on the topic of video game adaptations, I would like to say that there is one video game adaptation movie that everybody overlooks and nobody really cares about, and that is the Silent Hill film. The Silent Hill film is actually, I think...
Did you like that movie?
I thought it was like a 6.5 out of 10. It was slightly above average. It was okay. But I will say that the Silent Hill movie was, I think, the most faithful adaptation of any video game story, feeling, and just everything about the first Silent Hill, which was like very interesting for its time. It was a game that came out in 1992. It had such low graphics, but it had such amazing atmosphere, and it had really interesting sound design, and like the story was very simple, but it was simple enough just to get you going for what Silent Hill was really trying to pull from you, was this kind of like horrifying, atmospheric kind of dredging into this man's kind of subconscious a little bit. And the Silent Hill movie did that, and it really pulled those feelings, which I think is the most important part of adaptations, which we'll get to that discussion.
Which was this? It was Silent Hill 1 or Silent Hill 2?
Silent Hill 1.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the second Silent Hill movie was based on Silent Hill 3, but was also total garbage.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think loose elements of The Grudge were based on a Fatal Frame series as well.
That
I've heard that. I can't confirm that.
I can't confirm that either, but I feel like there's some type of circular thing with those two.
But there's a lot of I think a lot of Japanese horror of the era there shares a lot of similarities. Mm-hmm. Like The Ring and The Grudge are very similar, aesthetically speaking. Fatal Frame has that kind of aesthetic going on too. Mm-hmm. So and also Fatal Frame is like an old series.
It kind of pretty is, yeah. It's been around for a while. Yeah. But that's what I think. I think personally, Silent Hill, the film, is the best adaptation. And one of the interesting things about that adaptation is that the video game is a lot about this I forget his name, Harry something. But the main character and his attachment to his daughter. And the whole game is him trying to find his daughter after they were in a car crash in Silent Hill, and it gets all foggy and it gets all weird. But in the movie, the director had decided to take the liberty of changing the gender of the main character. So instead of being a male main character, and it was a man going after his daughter.
Wasn't it like Jodie Foster or something?
I think so. I forget who. One of the cop that was
Computer Boy.
Yes, Computer Boy. Please find these facts for us.
This is our little pocket nerd for the day.
But it really got across, kind of, at least to what I would think the Western audience more readily understands, like the kind of caring relationship between
who's the main girl,
parent and child, which traditionally in the West is
say into the microphone, not into the computer. You fool!
It is Rhoda Mitchell.
Okay, that's not Jodie Foster. That is a lady.
Jodie Foster is not anywhere on this cast.
Okay, I have been incorrect before. But while we're on that note, I just want to stick to, so let's try and work it through some structure. Mm-hmm. Let's start with video game movies, because I feel like that's the fewest adaptations that I can think of is video games that were turned into movies. So all right. Silent Hill, you're saying, was probably one of the better of them. Wow, you gave it a 6.5. It's a 6.6 on IMDb.
Hey.
Wow. Look at that voice of the people over here.
Hey.
All right. So I touched on that other one, Doom.
Yeah.
Which came out, in 2005, I think, when we were all in grade school, high school.
Yeah, I think so.
If I remember correctly.
I never watched Doom, but I remember wanting to watch it. And like, as a child, knowing that, man, that movie's going to be fucking stupid.
It was absolute garbage. But I will say that there was this one moment
5.2 on
of
IMDb.
redemption for that movie.
Was it the first person scene?
It was the first person scene. It was the one first person. It was like the God mode scene because it was more than first person. It was like he didn't run out of ammo and he was invincible. Like,
well, he had the BFG, which in the canon of both the movie and the game is literally called the big fucking gun.
Yeah, we also, I mean, in League of Legends does that same joke. They have the BF sword.
Well, they took that joke off of Doom.
Right? Yeah. I think that didn't Duke Nukem have a BF something?
I don't remember.
I'm sure it did.
But
Somewhere along the line.
I for some reason I remember it being Doom.
Oh, it definitely was Doom. It definitely was Doom. I feel like Duke would have bitten off in Doom.
Yes. But continue about.
So
Doom.
yeah, so the Doom movie was like, it didn't really have a lot of heart. This is before The Rock decided that he really did want to be an actor. Though, weirdly enough, like it's thematically similar to some of the movies he's put out lately. Like that movie, what was that Tower movie?
Oh, I don't remember.
Like the Die Hard remake.
It was
basically.
made for the Chinese. I don't remember.
It was Chinese pandering, and it was awful. But it was
Collapse, skyscraper.
Skyscraper. That's it. Yeah. So when Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
He's not Dwayne the Rock Johnson anymore. He was Dwayne the Rock Johnson in Doom, but now he strictly has dropped the Rock from his going name, and he's just Dwayne Johnson.
Hold on the topic of Dwayne the Rock Johnson and adaptation.
He is an adaptation.
I will say
he's adapted wrestling into movie making.
I mean, it wasn't really that different from the beginning.
Okay,
but Dwayne The Rock Johnson was in the recent movie Jumanji 2, Go Into Extra Jumanji. I have no idea what the real name is. But that movie was actually very good and a very interesting adaptation of what the Jumanji concept was.
I think that movie, I didn't watch it because the same part of you that said when you were a child that this movie has to be garbage said that to me looking at the trailer for this movie.
It was very funny, but I appreciated it. I had a good time watching that movie.
I do like that Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson have decided to become a comedy duo. Like, I can get behind that pairing.
Kevin Hart is comically small next to him.
Right, exactly. He's comically small to start with.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, we're getting off the beaten path here. So yeah, so I would say Spirited Away. Silent Hill is okay, it's a decent one. Doom is not great, but at least it does kind of hold true to the source material when it does that BFG sequence. What about
the Assassin's Creed? Brian, you're a big Assassin's Creed fan.
Did you watch that Michael Fassbender movie?
I did not. I refuse to let the memory of Assassin's Creed be tainted.
Good, fair,
too bad.
Fair,
It's
right.
already
It
tainted.
has been tainted. It was tainted kind of by Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. I know.
Because they got bad.
It did.
Yeah.
I will still maintain that Black Flag is my favorite one. I won't argue that it's the best one because I know that the best one is Brotherhood. But
it's the entire 2 series, the entire 2 trilogy.
Sure. Okay. Let's go with that.
Trilogy.
2. Well, let's say 2 and point 2, point 1, point 2, and point 3.
My favorite.
But Black Flag is still my favorite.
My favorite one is still the first one. I think the first one had it had such a pure vision to it that like kind of got diluted in the 2 trilogy.
That's fair. Like that's respect for the OG of the game. Yeah. But so then moving from that, there was another bad game. There was another bad movie that had been made out of Mario Brothers. Probably like the first one that I ever personally witnessed.
It is the worst.
It was awful.
There will never be another Mario movie because
I didn't even like it as a youth. Like I was an idiot child and I still couldn't like that movie. They went out of their way to not adapt any of the source material except that they're Mario, and Luigi Mario. And there's like the scene where this guy's like, get these fucking Marios out of here. And it's like, so like, are they in New York?
Brian,
and then New York goes to Mushroom
switch over
Kingdom?
some screenshots so that the people can see?
Yeah, let's do the screens. Let's see how fucking bad. Yeah, right. What is that? Is that an ear on the wall?
I don't know.
Is that an ear with a laser coming out of it?
There's a skeleton man that's afraid
to the Koopa Kingdom, but I'm not sure.
All right, but why is there like a blasted skeleton on the side of the screen? Like
this is plumbers and they work underground.
Okay, but this is a shot. This was an intentional shot in this movie. Some director was like, this is how I want to represent this scene.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, I forget the name of the actor who plays Mario, but he was drunk.
Can we get a picture of the Koopas?
Time.
Is there Koopas in this?
There.
Yes.
God, that's horrifying.
That's a Koopa.
That's disgusting.
Like,
oh my god.
Now I can understand trying to curb stomp every one of the motherfuckers in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Okay, but why does he have a harmonica attached to his
Why
neck?
does he look like the most current edition of the Ninja Mutant Turtles? The Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Right, and just right.
this
That's
is
not a
budget-
great picture of them, but just look at that. Look at that costume design. It's so 90s it hurts. First of all, with the baggy sleeves and like they both look like Sinbad. Actually, they both look like white Sinbad.
I will say that whoever the art director for this movie definitely had a vision.
Wait, go back.
And
Go
it
back.
was-
And that's it. That's the movie. That's it. Big fucking pile of cascading trash.
Just there we go, trash. All right, you can switch back.
You can
to
switch
this.
back. We've seen enough of this fucking garbage.
But yeah,
So that's probably like the first one. The first one, at least in my memory, was like a game that was made into a movie, and it's like, oh my god, why did you make this? You've kind of doomed the genre forever. And then, so then they still made Doom, and they made Silent Hill. There's definitely others on the list that I can't think of, and there's probably more coming because they did Assassin's Creed, and they definitely didn't learn that lesson either.
I honestly, there was the World of Warcraft movie, which the Chinese also really liked.
Did they really like it? I thought they felt like it was too much.
No, I think if I remember correctly, I think the movie made like most of its earnings because of China.
That makes sense because that would be more of their thing. Like I feel like World of Warcraft is a much more popular game amongst Asian players than it is amongst Western players.
Yeah, or at least there's more of them to enjoy it.
Yeah, but I feel like culturally there's also just like more gaming done.
Yeah,
there.
you're right.
Like gamers in America are kind of still like the nerdy underclass.
Yeah, well, I mean, they
Less
keep on proving themselves to be scum.
Well, I mean, I do not disagree, but I feel like you still hear in like the common rhetoric from like old fogies is like, oh, you play video games, but you know, then there's still like some up and comers like competitive gaming is a thing and it gets better and worse all the time.
Yeah,
there's no winning. Really.
It's interesting, but either way, what else? What's on the next? Let's move from video games.
All right. I also just before I only have one example of this other one, but I think it just kind of speaks to why we like adaptation in the first place. Actually, I guess it's two because they're making a new thing now. Pirates of the Caribbean was an adaptation of a ride from Disney World. Like they took the ride at Disney World. We're like, we could rework this into a movie, right? And they just wanted to make like some kind of bullshit pirate movie, and then they hired Johnny Depp, and that changed everything forever.
Yeah,
and it just became a Johnny Depp vehicle,
and it still is to this day.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna die with him.
I don't. Is there gonna be a Pirates 6? I'm not certain, but
is there not already?
I think there was a Pirates 5. I don't know. I haven't watched.
Either way,
I haven't watched past the first one.
Yeah, but then now, speaking of Dwayne the Rock Johnson, they're making this new adaptation of a different Disney ride, The Jungle Cruise.
What?
Are you familiar with this?
I did not know that the Jungle Cruise was a Disney ride.
Yeah, if you want to just Google the Jungle
movie.
Cruise there real quick to inform us, man. It's as far as I know, it was a Disney ride. I'm not sure if it is any longer, but now it's going to be a new movie. And one of the co-stars is The Rock, and I think the other one is like Dakota Fanning or something like that.
That is weird.
Who's going to be in it? Who's the main girl?
Emily Blunt.
That's not Dakota Fanning.
What?
It's like an English version.
But Emily
of Dakota.
Blunt has been knocking.
Also found his way into this.
Who?
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This is gonna be a very weird movie.
Yeah, because
who's directing it?
yeah, because for the last, I would say for the last like 4 years now, Emily Blunt's been just knocking them out the park.
I'm not sure if I'm saying this correctly, but Jaume Collet-Serra.
Wow, I have no
Could
idea
you
who
click
that
him
is.
and see what else he's done?
Is he French?
Maybe.
Is Disney making
Listen.
a French film?
I don't know.
Oh no, he's from Barcelona.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
he's one of them
He's
catalogs.
made The Shallows in 2016.
Did he make The Taken? Is that Liam Neeson's?
Is
Oh
it
no, he
Orphan?
did the
he-
Taken on a train, right? Lockdown, is that what that's called?
The Commuter? No.
Yeah. Taken on a train. The Commuter. Is Liam Neeson's, but on a train,
Yeah.
commuting somewhere ostensibly.
Oh my God, right, you are.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. This might not suck.
It might not. Emily Blunt is a fantastic actress. She's
And if it's an action movie, like that's a pretty good like cast and director for that. Like I feel like Emily Blunt could do action,
Also-
and Dwayne Johnson obviously could do action.
yeah, and Paul Giamatti can do whatever. Giamatti. Because I would say like if he had less like self-respect, he could be Nicolas Cage tier actor. Like he has that potential.
I think you need to readjust your opinion of Nicolas Cage because I think you're tiering actors poorly.
No, because here's the thing. I think Nicolas Cage is a fantastic actor. He's excellent. He's wonderful. He's beautiful.
He's in a tier unto his own.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Paul Giamatti, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Giamatti.
Giamatti.
There's no N.
Giamatti. he can really camp it up. Like, I don't know if you watched the movie Shoot 'Em Up.
I was about to say.
Yeah, but man, Paul Giamatti.
Or Big Fat Liar.
Yeah, he's so campy in that, and he excellent camp. And if he just had less self-respect and just tried to make so many movies because he has to pay so many back taxes on so many properties like Nicolas Cage does, he.
You know what? In spite of yourself, that was a decent segue into a movie called Adaptation, which struggled with the concept of adaptation because it was a movie about.
And it was also
Andy
an adaptation.
Kaufman. Andy Kaufman was the writer, right?
Yes.
So it was a movie written by Andy Kaufman, starring Nicolas Cage as Andy and Charlie Kaufman.
Yes.
Who is also credited as a writer of the film. Charlie Kaufman isn't a person.
Yeah, Charlie Kaufman doesn't exist.
And I think it was like...
It's actually Charlie Kaufman.
It's Charlie Kaufman?
Yes.
Okay, so Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman is the fake one.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Fuck it. Charlie Kaufman isn't real either.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
Whichever one is the real one, or whichever one is the fake one, I mean, is the only person or the only fake person to ever receive an Oscar nomination.
Yeah, for screenwriting.
Yeah.
An original screenplay.
Yeah.
Of a movie called Adaptation.
No, I would think it was an adapted screenplay. Because
it wasn't, though, because
is.
none of the book is actually in the movie. That was the whole point.
Yeah, but it's technically an adaptation because it's an adaptation of this book, and it kind of tells a story.
What was the screenplay win for? Was it adapted or original?
Tell us,
You're on
computer
IMDb.
boy.
There's a trophies section or awards.
Do you see it? But either way, this is a fantastic point to get into what quantifies an adaptation, and I feel like you as an English major and a writer will have a much different view of what an adaptation requires than I would as a film person.
Did it not win any awards? That's not true.
Look on Wikipedia. Wikipedia will probably have it easier.
Awards, yeah, that's right
It
there.
won an Oscar.
Oh, it won the Oscar
for what though?
Best actor in a supporting role for Chris Cooper.
Okay, what was it? What were the nominations?
Best actor in leading role for Nicolas Cage. Best actress in supporting by Meryl Streep. And best writing adapted screenplay by Charlie Kaufman.
Damn it! It was an adapted screenplay. That's still see right there. You go.
Yeah.
That was still technically considered an adaptation.
It's Charlie Kaufman and Charlie Kaufman.
Is it? Wait, no, Andy and Charlie, right?
The second nominee was actually Kaufman Donald, the fictitious twin brother of Charlie.
Donald Kaufman. Who's Andy? Andy Kaufman is the comedian. The other one.
Yeah. Okay.
Shit.
That's
why
the
I'm
one
confusing
that,
my Kaufman. That's Jim
did.
Carrey. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Like To the Moon or something like that.
Yeah.
On the
It
Moon.
was a fantastic movie.
But so we should get to the point. What do you think an adaptation needs? Because in my eyes, I'll begin. I think that an adaptation owes almost nothing to the original work. I
think okay. Yeah, I fundamentally disagree with you then.
I bet. And I think like what really matters in a piece of work is if you really want to pull, you got to find the core essence of it, and the core essence of it needs to be kind of distilled from its original format, whether that be a comic book, a short story, a book, or a television show.
Distilled?
So there's like every story has like an essence, like what it's truly about, like its themes and like its motifs and just kind of what the feeling that it's trying to pull.
And you think that by just getting the themes and the motifs out, you're distilling it?
Yeah, and that's what you truly want to get across in the film. You just want to get across what the film.
Hey, why don't you just incorporate those themes into your own original idea?
Because
it's not an adaptation.
Because
if you just like the themes of sadness. Fine, you're not going to adapt
because you
Mouse, the graphic novel, and then not use any mice as Jewish stand-ins during World War II.
Yeah, but that's
if you just like sadness and genocide as themes.
Well, here's the
then
thing.
You just make a sad genocide movie.
Well, here's the thing. Also, with adaptations don't always get to be brought into existence through the love of the art of whatever. Sometimes there are executives and producers that say
but we're talking about like the concept of adaptation. And so if you're saying that it doesn't owe anything to what it's adapting, then you're the worst kind of human being.
Yeah,
because you're not giving the artist who made it any credit.
You're not, and I would say.
So then why are you adapting it? Obviously, you're adapting it because you found found something in it that you resonated with, and you think that other people are going to resonate with.
I don't always think. I don't think it doesn't always have to be you. Sometimes you get hired to do a job, and oftentimes.
But that's when you're talking about all these hypotheticals. You're bringing so much more into it. You're going outside your own argument. You're saying, what is adaptation? I'm not talking about adaptation in terms of what Hollywood executives want me to adapt. Adaptation, the concept, is when you take the core themes and ideas presented in one text, like not literal text, but the vague text, and then you take that and you port it to another medium.
Yeah, but
that's it. That's all adaptation is. It's like, I like that book. I want to make that book into moving pictures.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The mechanics of a book and the mechanics of moving pictures aren't the same mechanics.
But it's still going to be the story of those characters, ideally in those places, doing those things.
Not always.
That's
switch it around
for you. Then
why
did you ask me the question? Then?
All right, well,
you motherfucker.
All right, well, okay, well, because I'm countering your point. I'm saying this is your point, and I believe
I didn't even make the point yet. Right, you led in saying that you don't owe shit to the person you're adapting from.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
now you're getting mad at me for defending.
You know what? Fine. Can make your point then.
Adaptation is literally when you take the concept and the guts of one story and you turn it into a different medium. That's it. That's all adaptation is. You can extrapolate from there into what modern adaptation is turned into. Fine. But basically, adaptation is, I like this. Me, the creator, me, the adapter, whoever's doing the adapting, right? This person likes this original medium, this original concept, story, plot, whatever it is, and they want to transfer that and the feeling that they got from it into a new medium. So, like, Kaufman really, really liked that flower book, and he struggled with, how do I adapt a book about just flowers and the way that I felt about them into a film? And that's how he did it. He did it as the story of him struggling to adapt it and then characterizing it.
Well, I think that
because mechanically they are different.
Yeah,
and that's where you figure out how the mechanics have to change. Like in a book, you can exposit and it makes sense. You can just write it down and tell people what the scene looks like. In a movie, you have to show them all that. So mechanically, you have to change the way you're telling it, but the story remains the same. Like I would write this scene as two men sit on a black couch against a black backdrop, lit by 4 white lights. There's an array of wires and microphones in front of them. But then visually, you have to just put it there, so you're not explaining it.
Yeah.
And then it gets a little different when you have to do internal monologues and thoughts and feelings. But obviously, you're gonna the transmutations there is where adaptation is why you adapt something. It's like, I liked this medium, but I want to make it either maybe more broadly available by saying taking a book that maybe not everybody knows and turning it into a film that anybody can see and understand. And then obviously it'll vary from there, and then you can get into sometimes corporate execs are like, this is a popular thing, I want you to make it into a more popular thing.
Well, the way I see things is that I think it's much more likely that the second part will happen where some executive will say, oh, here's this popular thing, I want you to go make this popular thing into a movie so I can make a bunch of monies. And then the guy who gets...
Why are all of our execs from Brooklyn?
I don't know.
They're all Mark Wahlberg. Go fucking do the thing.
Go do that thing. Go make me some monies, man. I'll sit here and eat my Mark Wahlburger.
Fuck you, Mark Wahlberg.
I respect Mark Wahlberg.
I have no reason to say that to him. I was just riding the train.
I think that when you read something or you find a piece that you want to adapt, what is most important about the piece is kind of the emotional core of what it's trying to pull at, or at least that's what I care about in my adaptations. And then the plot points, the characters, the setting, the dialogue, all that can be interchanged. It can be thrown to the wind, and it can be thrown up. You could pick some of it, you can take none of it, but what you really want to do is you want to capture whatever the emotional core of what that original work was, and then figure out how to translate what that emotional core that was initially in either a text form or a comic book form or whatever other form, and then figure out how to make that into either a television form or into a movie form.
But is it just the feelings?
In my opinion, I think that's the most important part.
Right, but you felt that way because of the characters, because of the plot,
because
of where they are.
But the characters in the plot aren't special. The characters can be shifted around.
They usually
the plot can be shifted around. The plot,
but then it's a different thing entirely.
But that's the thing.
Is it an adaptation, or is it then just loosely inspired by it?
Well, what's the difference?
I think there's a huge difference. I think you can be inspired by the thoughts and the ideas of a story, and then you can turn that into something that of your own, or you strictly adapt something. Like that means you're taking this and making it anew in a new form. Like E.L. James did not adapt Twilight. She was inspired by Twilight to write the same story with different people. But it's not an adaptation. In a strict sense, it's not an adaptation. It's a story inspired by another, or blatantly ripped off from whoever you want to say. But an adaptation is done with the intention of reflecting the original work. Otherwise, you're just taking credit for something that isn't yours.
Well, I mean, but that's the point. Like the whole point of adaptation is like the for whatever reason, the rights to that story and the rights to that name and the rights to those characters and whatever have been sold or leased or licensed or whatever, or for whatever reasons somebody else is allowed to make something using that same name. And just because they have the rights to what the original work was doesn't mean that they want to take that original work, because oftentimes, for specifically books, there is so much in books. There's like books. There's so much detail. There's so much.
Would you call
text.
Sonic an adaptation of Mario?
No.
Really?
Yes, because Sonic
still a
also be question.
Sorry. It's also still a company mascot character.
It's a reaction
also,
to
it would
Mario.
start off as a 2D platforming side-scrolling adventure turned into a 3D one.
Well, it's not the same license. It's not the same.
It's not, but it's by your definition. It could be an adaptation.
I would
think they took the core themes and ideas out of Mario, and they just made it into a blue hedgehog. You could say you can shift the plot, you can shift the characters, you can shift the places that it happens. But as long as you keep the ideas the same, the idea on the original Sonic and Mario is to go to the right.
Well, I would say the original point of Mario was
to go to the right.
Was to go to the right and hop and get to the end.
And Sonic did a lot of hopping.
Yeah, but Sonic does a lot more of going fast. And that's kind of the thing.
So that's
about
his
Sonic.
unique thing.
Yeah, Sonic is about going fast and being cool in whatever the popular culture says that means. And that's why Sonic the Hedgehog needs to be adapted every 10 years.
To keep him cool?
To keep him cool. Sonic's whole thing throughout his whole history is he's the coolest guy.
This is why I think your argument is wrong. That's why, because I think that, like what I just said is your definition of adaptation. You took all the ideas and concepts and themes, then you added your personal spin, literally making Sonic spin and go fast. But otherwise, that's everything what you said, is you're taking all the same ideas and concepts and just shift them around a little bit. And then you don't owe anything to Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because fuck them, right?
I mean,
now we're saying.
Well, here's the thing. Not like Sonic, but I'll say the Super Mario movie. Super Mario movie is a very clear case of too much creative liberty taken by the directorial team, because
bankruptcy.
Because Nintendo was just like,
did they have the license for it?
Yeah, that's how they got it made.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
That was the only time that the Mario license was ever given to a movie.
Because it looks like they didn't have it.
I mean, it kind of does, but
that looks like a Mario movie that you and I could put together.
You know what? If we can get John Leguizamo, then
yeah. He likes indie films.
Yeah. Well,
Yo, John, you done anything lately?
Yo, you want to make a new Mario movie? We'll call it Schmario, and we'll not pay Nintendo anything.
Schmario and Luigi.
But let's see. But actually, to completely deflate my whole point, let me actually talk about my favorite adaptation ever, which is Sin City.
Okay.
And the reason that it completely deflates my point entirely is because Sin City
is like a shot-for-shot adaptation.
It is a shot-for-shot, word-for-word adaptation of the comic book. Brian, if you could do me a favor and full screen that video and
we're just gonna play someone else's video.
Yeah,
we're allowed to do that.
Who cares?
Well, credit to this channel, I suppose. Thank you. We're not making any money off this.
You could lower the volume now, I wouldn't want to get the audio ID'd. But yeah, so here we go. If you can look at it, this is on the left of the screen right now is the Sin City movie directed by Robert Rodriguez, one of my favorite directors ever. And on the right is the comic book frames by Frank Miller. And so many of the shots are the frames. Like, As you can see,
like almost shot for shot, panel for panel.
And if we were listening to the audio,
wow,
yeah, really, it's like shot for shot, and it's beautifully done. Oh man, maybe those titties are bad.
This was such a good movie.
It was.
I can't
but
believe they tried to do it again.
Throughout the whole thing, like, look at this shot. Like, it kind of zooms out of the heart bed, and
it even does the perspective shift. Wow, I never knew this. I never realized this. It's been a long time since I read this comic book.
Yeah, and if we were listening to the audio at the same time as reading the comic, the words in the dialogue, like the voiceover in the movie is like word for word the text.
The text.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
like that text right there
is what's happening on screen right now.
Mickey Rourke, who plays Marv, is saying those exact words, like word for word, line for line.
Oh, so you would say that this is not adaptation?
I would say
because they took everything, right? It's not just the ideas and the themes.
They did. It took everything. That's why I said it completely.
Oh, and it's not just you making it, right? There's some executive told them to do this, right?
Actually, I don't know about this one, but
we should have let in with this. You couldn't even have made your stupid point.
Well, I wanted to make my stupid point first and then deflate it out.
Dick.
But you know, as the video keeps on going, like it's fascinating. It's like shot.
No, I
for
will
shot.
say that. So it just in defense of your original point, in that you take basically the thematic concepts of the first one. They're also doing a shot for shot here, but they do add the stylistic flair that you need in a movie. Right? She had that glowing blonde hair. He has the red sheets. Okay, we can stop this now.
We can switch that back.
Now we're going over to Leo's personal YouTube recommendations.
But I would say in that adaptation, because the graphic novel, you know, it's black and white with like maybe a color here or there. But Robert Rodriguez, you know, he decided to accentuate this kind of comic book feel, which was very deliberate, to add these color highlights, and then to have certain specific types of audio. The audio is kind of like the really noir, jazzy, and you can like really feel like the grimy grittiness of the movie, and I love it. That's why I love it.
Did Robert Rodriguez also do The Spirit?
No, he did not.
That movie was bad.
No, Robert Rodriguez makes good movies.
Always?
Almost always.
I haven't seen all his movies, but I've heard that
he did Spy Kids 1 and 2.
Did he also do Spy Kids 3?
Because I don't remember. I don't remember. If it was the one that
noir, the tunes that's playing.
Yeah, if it was the one that had Elijah Wood in it, it probably was. Yeah.
That's like lightly noir.
Yeah, this is light noir. Oh, I need to get this track. I like this a lot. Well, let's turn that back down.
Yeah, sorry. Just wanted to point it out.
But Brian, can you tell us who directed Spy Kids 3?
Sorry. Spy Kids 3, Game Over.
No, Spy Kids 3D, Game Over.
Well, that's not what that says right there.
It was Robert Rodriguez, yeah.
It was?
Oh,
okay.
wow. Okay, so he has made a bad movie.
Yeah.
But I guess this is probably one that he was pushed into making, or contractually obligated to make.
Yeah, I think this one was one like, hey, Spy. Oh, actually, I know, because I do know about this. After the first Spy Kids movie, the executives came back to him and was just like, hey, we'll give you double the money to make a sequel, and he was just like, nah. Jesus. Don't give me double the money. Give me the same amount of money, and I'll make a sequel with that.
Oh, why'd you close that? That actually, that was a good one to talk about. Fuck it. Well, actually, no, that makes sense. So, what we talked about some loose video game ones. We talked about Disney ride ones. Mm-hmm. And we touched on some of the book ones. But those are obviously always the most popular adaptations, is books to film. Yeah. And it has started from as long ago as like Romeo and Juliet has been adapted for film for a long time, and a number of different iterations by a number of different people and different styles.
On that exact note, my favorite Romeo Juliet
is the Leo DiCaprio one, as it well should be.
God, yes.
Well should be.
That movie is so good. I love it. It's so high camp. It has Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
What movies of Jamie Kennedy?
And he plays like
what is it, Mercutio?
Like Mercutio, I think, or one of the big characters in that.
It was whoever, I think it was like
God, it's been so long since
Romeo's
I watched or read Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, and I like that it's called, and it's not Romeo and Juliet, it's Romeo plus Juliet.
Yes, exactly, because it was made in 1996 when everything was still,
it was so 90s. It hurt. It's great. I love it.
Claire Danes is Juliet. I think she was underage in the movie, which was a bit like weird for people. but it was still like it's just such a good Romeo and Juliet. Everyone hated it, and I loved it.
And I feel like a lot of the reason that everybody hated it is because
It's so campy and awful.
Not only is it so campy, but it's so campy using direct Shakespearean speech.
Right, but I think that was like a big part of why I liked it is that so many adaptations will like modernize it and they'll just like do the same star-crossed lover story, but they'll make it, you know, palatable for modern audiences. But no, they were like, nah, we're going to do Romeo and Juliet. We're just going to do it in Venice Beach or wherever it is.
Yeah, I think it was Venice. It was Venice Beach, LA.
Verona, okay.
Verona, and it's just word for word, but everything else about it's like so campy. Like they pull out their sword, and one of them like had the name for their sword. It was literally a gun with a name on across it, and their steeds were they're literally their cars.
Yeah,
like,
I know
and it was just so straight faced, and it was beautiful.
And then what was the best scene in that movie? It was like, do you stick your thumb at me? Or it's like I stick my thumb, but not at you. Or it's like I bite my thumb. Yeah, which was like an insult
pull
in like
up these images,
Venetian Italy,
switch these up.
But was certainly not an insult in LA or Verona. Yeah.
Well, when you're talking the way they're talking, it certainly is. Look at that! Look at that shot of Leonardo DiCaprio with his gun. He just spoke some Shakespearean English.
Is that the Weasel?
I don't know. I think that looks like the director.
That is the director, yeah.
Is that Baz Luhrmann?
Yes.
Wow. Oh my God, that's a young Baz Luhrmann.
This was 20 years ago.
That's a little more than 20 years. More, yeah. 23 years ago.
Yeah. But I really enjoy this movie. If you knock on this film and you hate it, we can't be friends anymore. So nice
so many
knowing
people
you.
Hate this movie though.
Because this movie was fantastic.
You can switch it back now. We've seen it. Is that Kirsten Dunst?
No, I think that's
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz, yeah.
That's Cameron Diaz? Oh my, I'm blind.
Yeah. Well, you had glasses, so.
All right, so but we've like there's been a million book adaptations forever, and it starts with Shakespeare and it starts with Romeo and Juliet a lot of the time. Yeah. But what was I building into? It was like, okay, yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about was like movie video games, like because eventually it had to come to that point, right? Because media has evolved, and so. Forever, it feels like, for as long as I've been alive, there's been bad tie-in games to big popular movies. I remember one Christmas, like a month or two before my younger brother had won an Xbox in a raffle. Yeah. And so we had an Xbox and so we really didn't have anything to play. And I think that one of the first games we picked up was Halo, right? Because of course. But then that Christmas, I remember I asked for Xbox games. And I don't think that I was specific, or I might have been specific. I honestly don't remember anymore. But either way, my mother didn't get me what I asked for, or I just asked for nothing specific and she got whatever the teller told me to get. Because I wound up with some like Tetris Xbox reboot, some other hot garbage. Oh, no, not even hot garbage. No, Monkey Ball was one of them. That was actually okay. And then the third one was the series of unfortunate events.
Well, that was a game.
That was a game. You know the Jim Carrey movie?
The Jim Carrey movie?
Yeah, this was back in 2002 or something like that. Back when I was a child. But that was a movie tie-in game. That have become so ubiquitous now. Like if there's a fucking movie, there's a game that it comes tied with it.
And how bad was it? Tell me about this game.
Oh my God! It was the only one that I can remember with any sense of clarity, because it was effectively like an adventure puzzle game. Like you played as
I think get a trailer of this rolling up, Brian.
If you played as either Violet or Klaus, or I think you maybe changed off between them in different sections of the map, and like Klaus had to do vaguely book themed puzzle solving, but it really was never books, and like Violet had to find things to make into a thing. She invents stuff. She just had a collect-a-thon, basically.
Was she good at finding things and making them into things in the book or the movie?
Yeah, she's an inventor in the books. Like Klaus is a very literary guy. He's like the researcher and reader. Violet is I hope that's the right name. I can keep saying Violet so confidently. Violet is like the tinkerer and the inventor. Like she makes stuff. And then Sunny, their baby sister, is the cook. She like cooks stuff.
Yo, but how's she gonna do that? She an baby.
Because it comes from a little kid's book. Things don't need to make sense. It's also called a series of unfortunate. Is that the game trailer?
No, that's a walkthrough. It says right there.
That's 10 minutes.
Yeah, can you find the game trailer?
Yeah, just so we can get these people some vague idea.
Look it up on YouTube, not on DuckDuckGo. There we go.
But I'm telling you, it was one of the biggest disappointments that I've ever had in a video game playing experience. Because I tried to because I love those books, and in spite of myself, I kind of like that movie. Even though they combined three books into a single movie. That might be it. The first one. Yeah, is that the video for the movie?
I don't know. But on that.
No, that's it. That's it.
Movie?
That's
Pull it up, Brian.
All right, this is a very Imagine playing this as a child on Christmas.
Oh, is that?
Did it have use scenes from the movie to make the game seem more playable? God.
Look at those graphics.
Well, it was like 2002, so bear that in mind. Like the graphics were not the worst part.
Oh man, full motion video and video games. Oh, those were the days. Oh, what is this? Oh, okay, please turn this off. Okay, I don't
know. This is what the game was. You know how uncomfortable you're feeling? I played this.
The game based on the upcoming movie featuring Jim Carrey. I'm glad that's a selling point.
My god, this almost looks playable. The way that they put that together, oh my god. That trailer made that game look good. That game was nowhere near that when I got it.
Okay, well then let me touch on. I just forgot the first game I was going to talk about, but the second game I was to talk about, which was in a very interesting adaptation, which was the Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law PlayStation 2 game.
Okay, that actually sounds dope.
But
that's not a movie title. But I'll forget.
But it's a video game. I mean,
was it good? That sounds good. I want to play it.
It was okay.
Was it like Phoenix Wright?
It was Phoenix Wright. It was exactly Phoenix Wright. That's perfect. It was just so dumbed down, and since
objection.
Yeah, exactly. And since the Harvey Birdman, it's court cases, and Phoenix Wright is court cases, and Harvey Birdman's pretty dumb. The level of depth in the game is not very high, but the visual fidelity was excellent because the animation was basically just kind of flash animation of like moving
and like a lot of stills. Yeah.
And in the video game, it was also just moving stills. It was basically.
Is this a trailer for this?
Switch it up.
Let's switch that over. Let's see the trailer up here for the people. Turn the music off though.
Are those real people?
Oh, that wasn't music. That was a motorcycle outside. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't have the most soundproof rooms here. Yeah. So here we go. Like this is.
This is the game.
This is the game. Yeah, you have to save Potamus because he did something bad, whatever. And I've never seen this trailer.
It was before. On the Wii.
Yeah. Well, I had it on the PlayStation 2, but I guess look at this. Oh my god. And it was quite literally just Phoenix Wright, but with a Harvey Birdman skin on it. Like, look at that. Like, you go around, you investigate, you find evidence, and then you have a courtroom thing. That's literally Phoenix Wright. Brian, I know you've played Phoenix Wright, and you can see how that looks.
He is though.
Yeah. And it's incompetence. And I thought I think the game was...
Look at all those white people having so much fun playing this game.
I think the game was written by the same writers.
Wow, they are all white people.
Yeah, like look at it. It's literally the show in a game.
I thought that this was just like cribbing from the show to make a fan trailer.
Nah, like that's the game.
I would play this.
Yeah, it's not that long. It's like maybe about 3 hours long. Probably a jip when it came out.
Right.
But it was moderately entertaining. So you could switch back out.
But I would play that. I think
I would say
Capcom as well. There, okay, perfect.
I would say the only downside to it is that they had to get a sound alike for Stephen Colbert.
He didn't jump in to do the voice.
Yeah, he wasn't Mentok or the little guy.
What's the name of the dude with the
Reductor?
eye patch? Huh? What's the name of the dude with the eye patch?
Oh no, he was. Yeah, Phil Kent 7. He wasn't the Phil Kent 7, and he wasn't Reductor. No, he wasn't Mentok. Mentok was somebody else. But yes, Stephen Colbert didn't get to play Phil Kent 7 and Reductor, which I think, as Harvey Birdman being one of my favorite shows ever, I think it really hit me hard because Stephen Colbert's line delivery as this character.
Oh, he's a gem.
Fantastic.
It's perfect. All right, so we're getting to the end of this hour. So the last adaptation I want to touch on, which I think might be the best adaptation in my experience, but also one that I think really changes up the nature of how we think about adaptation and what really gets to be called adaptation. And maybe it isn't really strictly an adaptation, even though it is Kingdom Hearts, right? Kingdom Hearts, all of them, is a portmanteau of Final Fantasy and Disney. So all of the games have featured a core cast of an original character from Square Enix in the name of Sora, and then he has been accompanied always by Donald and Goofy, the mainstays of Disney. And then Mickey Mouse has been like a kind of like a
Mickey Mouse pretends to be
long
there.
absent hero who like they're always like chasing to find and stuff. Yep, that's happening.
That should be happening right now.
I should be home. But I think that Kingdom Hearts,
You could switch over.
it has become so hard to adapt Disney games, like to adapt Disney into video games. I'm not sure that I can think about many Disney games that I've thoroughly enjoyed. I had a Bugs Life Game Boy game when I was a kid that I really, really liked. But other than that, I can't really think of many Disney games that weren't Flash games on Disney.com that I can say I thoroughly enjoyed. But Kingdom Hearts managed to bring the best elements of a Final Fantasy open world fantasy adventure and bring in the elements of the familiarity with Disney. For me, as someone who at that age, especially in 2003, I wasn't like super keen on like JRPGs really. I liked Final Fantasy 7, I liked Final Fantasy 10, but I never really got super into JRPGs that heavy. And then I saw this I shit you not, on a Toys R Us shelf back in 2003, and I was like, this looks amazing. This looks like so much fun. And I begged my mother to get it for me, and she did. God bless her. I thought if she knew what it would awaken in me, she probably wouldn't have bought it. But lo and behold, we're now, what is it, 16 years since Kingdom Hearts 1 was released?
Has it been out? I have no idea.
Brian, can you do a quick Google real quick?
When did Kingdom Hearts?
I want to say it was 2003. It was Kingdom Hearts 1.
It might have been 2004 because all the good games came out in 2004.
I'm not sure. North American release. I'm willing to bet it was 2003.
What was it, Brian? Give us an answer.
2002.
Ooh.
Oh, we were both wrong. Okay.
All right.
But yeah, there you go. 2002. I was 10 years old. I was 10 years old when I started playing. I think I got it in 2003, actually. So yeah, I was 11 years old when I started playing Kingdom Hearts. I'm 26 now, and I'm an even bigger fan of Kingdom Hearts now. If you ever have the misfortune of coming to my crib, you'll see that I have 2 Kingdom keys. 2 Keyblades.
I have
2 Keyblades. Well, I have 1 Kingdom key and 1 Oblivion. 2 full-size Keyblades. I plan on getting a Kingdom Hearts tattoo eventually. And now I will have played every Kingdom Hearts game except for Recoded and the DS ones.
I was the Kingdom Hearts games that I played. I've only played the first one and Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance, and the first one was pretty good. But I really enjoyed the interesting mechanics of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories because it was like it was like very limited on a Game Boy Advance, and it had this card system that you had to like shuffle through cards for like different attacks. Like it was like real time fighting on top of like having to select cards to attack with.
Yeah, it was like Mega Man Battle Network almost.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Almost. It was a little different in how you interacted. There wasn't a board.
Mega Man was much more rigid.
Yeah, but either way, the big point of that though is I think that part of what makes the game work so well, especially for Western audiences, is the Disney, and I get that. But it also, I think it makes the Disney a little bit better because it gives you a level of agency over these Disney stories that you never had before. Like, you're not just observing Mulan take down Shan Yu, you're with her and helping to do it, and you get to be part of that process. You get to relive like the better, more cinematic parts of these stories that you watched when you were a kid, if you were my age, and you get to be an active participant. Like that's like the agency that video games gives you, and I think that's like this is the kind of adaptation that I would like to see more of. This is like more of your adaptation where we're not strictly adapting every story of every Disney game we bring in here. We're taking the themes, the motifs, the concepts, the characters, and we're using them to further our original story. It's like this is almost like where I would like to see adaptation move towards in the future, because it just incorporates all these disparate elements in such a fucking clean, awesome way.
And I think that's
simple and clean.
That's where the truly great adaptations come from. They come from like when the director has some type of vision for how they want to adapt this and change things up. You know, then they figure out, it's like, oh, this is really the core essence of the original story that I want to pull at, and then I'm gonna put that core essence into this other story. Yeah. And then they you know, they borrow a couple of things. They take some imagery, they take some characters, they take some theming, and then they build something off of that. Yeah. And that's what I think is like the optimal adaptation.
Right.
Even,
so have you played the main games, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2?
I played the first one. Okay. I tried to play the second one, but the disc that I got from GameStop was broken.
Brian has it.
Yeah. And I think Jello has it as well.
Yeah. Either way, we're gonna have to get the whole squad to make sure that everyone plays up everything.
Oh, but you can get what is it? Kingdom Hearts 2.8 final mix prologue or epilogue or whatever.
I knew the title, and then you said all that gibberish, and I forgot the title. And I think it's like Kingdom Hearts 2.9 final. It has some dumb name, but you fucked. It's not final mix though. It's like it's something weirder. They've done final mix before.
Brian.
Fragmentary Passage.
Final chapter prologue.
Okay, but what's 2.9 though? Because 2.9 was Fragmentary Passage.
No, it's Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 first chapter prologue. No, what is it?
Or just type in Fragmentary Passage, because that was one of them.
That might be a totally different game.
They might have been. No, I think that was Kingdom Hearts .02 or 0.2 Fragmentary Passage.
Oh, 0.
Yeah, because Tetsuya Nomura shouldn't be allowed to make video games anymore. But you know what? He did well with this series, so he's gonna go down as one of the greatest creators in history, and I'm fine with that. But stop it! Stop making games now. You're not allowed. You fucked up Final Fantasy 15 so much that they told you, stop it, go make Kingdom Hearts 3 finally.
Was he the one responsible for Lightning being the waifu?
Oh yes. Oh,
was that him?
That was Tetsuya Nomura.
Oh god, that's
my boy. That's the guy that has defined the past 16 years of my video game habits.
He not only created his own waifu, but then he sexualized her, and then he sold her to Prada to sell
Louis Vuitton.
Sold to Louis Vuitton to sell their products.
Hey, that's fine. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Because the people who play Final Fantasy 13 are the same people buying Louis Vuitton products.
He probably didn't have the license to dress her in Louis Vuitton himself in game, so he's like, okay, Louis, let's make a deal.
Look, you and me, we're gonna make models.
What's the other one? The other weird creator in the Japanese Japanese sphere right now. Nier Automata.
Oh, what's his face?
With the head, with the mask.
I forget his name, but he's like a savant.
Yeah, absolutely. But he goes around wearing this Emil mask from the game, and like every one of his public appearances, he wears it.
Yeah, he's so bizarre.
He's a great man. Yoko Taro. He is a genius. That is an artist right there. That is what someone that you and I can only try to be like.
Yoko
he
Taro
is an adaptation of a much higher life form.
Yeah, he understands video games.
Yeah, have you never seen him?
Pull that up real quick.
Pull that up real quick. This has nothing to do with what we were talking about, but this is Yoko Taro. This is the guy that made Nier Automata, probably the greatest game of last year or the year before.
The Nier franchise, which is an offshoot of the Drakengard.
All of his public appearances.
Yeah, I remember. I think when he announced the game.
Drakengard 3 was fucking insane.
Yeah, he was laying on the floor, rolling, complaining about how the video game industry is garbage.
Is that a picture of his real face?
Yo, get that shit out of here.
Get that shit out of here.
Get that shit on home.
Get that shit out of here. I don't want to look at his real face.
Oh, Brian, you're not even showing the audience. Come on, switch the screen.
No, he already did. He already showed the audience the horrifying mask.
Okay. I was merciful.
Oh, thank you, then.
All right, but so I think that we've reached the end of our hour, and I really wanted to, basically I was just trying to build into Kingdom Hearts 3 as a natural segue for me to go home and play Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. We're a little past our hour, so I guess.
Well, I don't think so because we started at 8:10, 8:15.
We're about at the hour.
Yeah.
But
also, there's no real rules.
There are no rules.
We impose them ourselves for brevity's sake.
Well, it's important to have structure.
Brevity is the soul of wit. That's Shakespeare.
Yeah. So let's be brief and kind of end our podcast.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have anything more to say.
I don't much either. I'm not sure. We didn't really come down obviously on any hard point about whether adaptation is a good or a bad thing. But I do think that it's a little disencouraging to see that there have just been more adapted screenplays than original ones, just on a metric level. So I think that we should still be encouraging more independent, expressive, original art.
Yeah.
But obviously adaptations will always be around.
Something that some original art that I'm kind of keeping my eye on that's coming out soon is a new movie by Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron called I think it's called Alita.
Oh, Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah, and
I think Dua Lipa is she did the music, or she did like a song for that, or she might be like the girl.
And there's apparently like a kind of this interesting kind of escape the room or kind of like weird like cyberpunk fair experience happening in the city, and I want to go to that before it closes. And
wait, now?
Yeah,
really?
It's happening here, Austin, and LA. Because of course.
Wait, is that the fucking thing that you went to? The cyber experience?
No, this is different, but similar.
Okay.
Different setup, same kind of idea.
Right.
But I want to go to that. I like these kind of real life cyberpunk. I want to live my cyberpunk fantasies.
I might be down for that cyberpunk experience. Catch us at the cyberpunk experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's basically all we wanted to say. Join us next week for when we talk about.
I don't know. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go hard. Let's talk about masculinity.
Okay. Or actually, yeah, that's good. This is a conversation that we've been like breaking down for the past couple of months, so we should just put some more serious thought behind it. And,
because I had a very serious conversation. Well, not very serious, but like I had a very long, in-depth conversation with my cousin and one of his friends who
Alden.
Oh yeah, Alden and his friend about what masculinity is. Hello, Alden, if you're listening. And I recorded it, and I'll send that to you so you can take a listen to it, because I think it's they're both kind of Texas, like not really country boys, like Texas boys,
like regular Texas masculinity.
Yeah, like and they're functionally white. Like Alden's like
functionally white. Alden is a white kid, isn't he?
Well, he's half Hispanic, but he's functionally his dad's he's. My cousin on my mother's side.
Well, he's white passing, certainly.
Yeah, he's definitely. And he basically considers himself white. He has a white girlfriend.
He's a white man.
Yeah, basically. And
it's not a bad thing to be like.
Yeah, but
I'm a white man.
But to masculinity to a white man means different to masculinity to like either a colored man or a Mexican man, or probably more specifically.
There's certainly specific elements of it, but we'll get into this next week, obviously. Yeah. Tune in next time when we talk about masculinity from two prototypically masculine men.
Yeah. We're gonna go to Wahlburgers, and we're gonna go tell some guy to make an adaptation of some.
Make some fucking money.
Yo, make me some monies. Here's $25 million. Gonna make me 50.
There's 25 million cents. I only got that much. Let's go. All right, and so on that note, I've been Vin.
Yeah, and I've been Leo.
And this has been the Outsider Circle podcast. And again, who was joining us tonight was our good friend
Bryant.
I was waiting for him to say his own name, like we just did.
That's my name. Me.
Thank you for.
Thank you all for joining us. Those that did, and tell your friends, tell your enemies, subject other people to our torture. Yeah. And we'll catch you next Tuesday at 8-ish.
Yeah. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.